Yeah, come on. Yo, this that spooky shit, that real, that's right. That GMSONIC shit. Hey yo, Mr. Clean. Shout out to Dracula Presley, Corbin, Johnny Slash on the beat. Hey yo. Yo, it's the GMSONIC show. Phantom opera flow, permissionless, immutable, unstoppable, spectacular. Gather with Corville and Dracula. Abracadabra, flip shit like a spatula. Few Andre Stan, the master of memes. DeFi king, half man, half virtual machine. No other team can match the collective expertise. No other chain can achieve the supersonic speeds. Home with the most creative tech. What's your favorite decks? Spooky swap, equalizer, baits over next. And when I place my bet, I never break a sweat. Worship the open source code like sacred text. Rest assured, battle tested and ready for war. I check the bribes, cast the vote and collect the rewards. Knock at the door, trick or treat. Move like a zombie, but usually I stay cooler than Fonzie. I get surgical with this, call me Dr. Doom. Break the sound barrier, hit you with a sonic boom. We got it wrapped like a mummy in a tomb. It's about time we address the elephant in the room. It's called Sonic. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it. GMSONIC. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it. Yo, since the Genesis block, consensus didn't stop. Innovating since day one and never missed the plot. I'm just a humble yield farmer, tending these crops like a routine. See you at the next epoch. Ayo, the DeFi Renaissance, yeah, we were part of that. Your favorite dap, Phantom is where it started at. Go to Paint Swap and cop an ancient artifact. Let's run it back so we can 20x the market cap. FTM's the pre-sale, S is the ticker. It's best to zoom out so you can see the bigger picture. Brand new tech, brand new insignia. No trivia, we stacking more chips than Nvidia. Graduated from Halloween to a sonic theme. The dead chain resurrected, make you wanna scream. Due diligence, follow the new primitives. Controlled by the citizens, built to move billions. Your mass adoption, that's the only option. We ain't stopping till we locked in the top 10. Who got the best community? Who got the most promise? Who got the most pumponomics? Phantom and now Sonic. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it. GMSONIC. Yo, what's the new hot topic? GMSONIC. Straight up alpha, you can get it if you watch it.
This right here is my favorite thing ever in the history of forever. I think about this every day. I think about this all night long. I stay awake, not sleeping, because I'm thinking about this.
Oh yeah! Oh man! Undertaker's got Randy Orton! The Undertaker's alive and well! Be careful who you try to play games with!
あの彼女と結婚してたらな、あの人さえいなければなって思ってんじゃねえのか。何々さえなければ、そういうことがなければって思ってんじゃねえか。過去を思ってもおめえ前に進めないんだぞ。過去を思ったら怒りに勝ってる。今を生きなきゃダメなんだよ。見てみろ、富士山見に来て雲がかかってた。もっと前にくれよかった。なんでこんな日に思わない。今がいいんだよ。今日からお前はラウをリブしろ。
Livy done. Livy done. Livy done. Livy done. Livy done. Livy done. I hit the gritty to Ohio cause I needed somewhere 40. What? Man, I feel like Nick at 30. Livy done. 100-pound gap on the baby that I glitched. Chop a goon down like he Drake or Grimace shake. Low taper face, start to think that I'm ninja. Pulled her with Phantom and I'll pull her with the Rizzler. I just baby grunked her, she hopped to her and then you kissed her. Young Giga Chad, I don't play around with them Sigmas.
Who would have thought I would be sitting in a cell? Fam, shadow rug, I couldn't get bail. Now I'm fighting for my freedom. I hope Allah accepts my prayers cause I need him.
Come on! What's his name? I can't hear. What's his name?
Hey.
It's such a beautiful day. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome, GMSONIC. How are you doing today, Dracula? Welcome back.
Yeah, feels good to be back, man.
It's been ages, dude.
Three episodes. I think that's the longest I've been gone. So, but feels good, man. Took a little breather.
Tell us about it. Did you have a nice vacation, or was it work? Were you out there killing people? Were you out there robbing people? Were you out there doing crime?
Yeah, a little crime, a little vacationing, a little relaxing. You know, you got to mix in some financial crimes with your vacation, or you're just, got to get the blood pumping a little bit still while you're trying to relax every now and then.
Yeah, a little White Lotusing, huh?
Yeah, but no, it was good. It was one of the first times that ever, like, anytime I've gone out of town, it seems like it all falls onto some, like, really, like, a project launching or something going on. I can never time it right. So this was kind of one of the first times where it was like the market was just kind of boring. So it worked out,
Bro. I don't know if it was boring. I think this is one of the more interesting markets ever, dude. It was chaotic, dude.
Yeah, I guess for me it was like it was almost helpful because it was like, we were doing like the tariff flip-flopping. And it was like, I think it kind of like, otherwise I would have been like glued to my screen. But
for the most part, I think we are right back to where we started, in that price levels are about the same as they were when you left.
Yeah, I think that was part of the funny part, was like, it was just kind of like by the time I got back, it was like, oh, well, it was up, it was down, it was all over the place. That's why I had a hard time picking if the song today was going to be the bullish song or the bearish video, because we're just kind of back to where we started.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we had a nice recovery. I think today, if we look at the numbers, it's like below 50 again. Below 50 cents, yeah.
Yeah, just right below. But if you were looking at Bitcoin, you would just be like, this is still just kind of like no man's land, nothing really. I mean, we're just kind of like we had this really long sort of consolidation wind up here, starting to feel like that's what's happening here. That we're just kind of like in this purgatory of mid to upper 80s indefinitely.
No way.
Like I said, this is the weekly chart, so takes a lot longer for the moves up here to play out, but I would like to think that, like I said, here, when you have this kind of like wind up, you're guaranteed that you're either going to go, basically your move is going to be violent when it finally happens. So unfortunately here, our move that was violent was to the downside. So potentially what we would like to see is if we are winding up here, we're going to blast back through resistance here and be back in, 90,000 region or something.
Yeah, I think I saw that the moving average or something had flipped. This is a tweet I just saw before the show, so I might not have even read it correctly, but it was some bullish indicator for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, this is the weekly. I mean, I guess maybe if you shift to the daily, let's see what we get here.
Oh, that actually looks bad, actually.
Well, we're under the cloud, but yeah, I mean, I use this volatility moving average. It's a little different than a normal one, but it accounts for kind of like crypto volatility. We're definitely, we're having a move here, and it looks pretty good. I mean, if you're playing the Ichimoku clouds like I like to on like the longer time frame stuff, ideally when you get back into the cloud, you get what's called an edge to edge, which means that it's, it happens often that when it hits the cloud, it's going to go from one side to the other. So we get back up here to say upper 87, 88. Good chance we do finally kind of go against that resistance and get back into the 90s.
Not a Bear says something had a death cross today. I don't know what this was supposed to be. I think this got messed up in the formatting. But something out there is a death cross. Something out there is going to die.
Well, honestly, now, here's what I did. As I've said before, I'm not the biggest Fibonacci, indicator guy. But when it lines up this nicely with my meme lines, I figure, what the hell? I'll play it. So if we're looking at like the retrace on the fibs, ideally, yeah, we would be going back to like, mid 60s, 70 range. And, Sonic has also just reclaimed the average here and is also right up against resistance. So it is kind of like an interesting time. I would like to see obviously Sonic bust through all that. I think more than anything, what we're seeing is like the market starting to adapt to this tariff stuff. I think we're starting to see the moves a little less violent, people still coming in, that had money sidelined or whatever, people still coming back in after the news, whatever that may be. Right now what's happened is we had the Liberation Day, right? Where we, had the huge tariffs across the board, with an emphasis on China. That was obviously not a good time for the market. Basically what's happened since then has been kind of like exemptions. I guess somebody thought, hey, considering that we get like all of our electronics from China, we might need to like figure something out there. So, they had announced that for the time being, there's kind of like exemptions on like electronics from most countries. And I do think China still has a tariff on it, but it's not as, intense as, 20% tariff on electronics from China compared to the whatever it is now, 150% or whatever they're doing now. So the other thing that's happening is that they immediately put tariffs on like foreign cars. And from what I saw this morning, that's kind of why the market's at least lukewarm, is they are anticipating that they're going to place that same exemption on cars, on the foreign cars. So just what a time.
So we're playing freaking pick and choose now, Mr. Trump, huh?
Yeah, I think it's like, they did the blanket tariffs, and then it's kind of like, oh shit, well, wait a minute, maybe we need to like ease up on this or that, or
Dude, I think the boomers are gonna be just fine. Okay, these boomers Dracula, tell them how much money the boomers have. They have more money.
Yeah. Well,
than
that was, I had a post about it that basically you were seeing boomer meltdowns over what ended up being, to a lot of people, only like 15-20% hits that are 401ks. And it was kind of like, well, boo-hoo, considering that, you know, basically 401ks and, you know, big investments in S&P 500 are still up like 2,000% over the last, it's not even that long. I mean, but they're still up bigly. So they're going to be okay. But, you know, hey, I get that. You know, we're in crypto. So we're used to, you know, hitting 100x. Then you turn around the next day and it's down 93%. And then, you know, eventually it comes back or whatever. Like, we're used to this volatility. So I guess I did get a little bit of, you know, pleasure seeing just like these meltdowns over these like minor hits to portfolios. That's not to say that, I mean, there are people, there was some stuff on the timeline, like where there was a guy that was a hedge fund manager and basically was like, I lost everybody's money. Sorry.
Holy cow. I was seeing ones where it was like, and I think these are still kind of scary. It is kind of scary if you're like a 60, 70-year-old person and your portfolio is down 25% on the day. Because, but I did see a point too someone made was like, how is that even possible? Because like at your age, shouldn't it all be bonds anyway? Like what, or like bonds and like annuities? Like there should be no volatility at all in your portfolio at like 70 years old.
Yeah, and I mean that comes down to, you know, the same thing that we're also used to in crypto with bull runs, where you get greedy, and you know you have somebody, maybe you have a more aggressive portfolio manager or whatever, and you know, like I said, there's guys that lost entire hedge funds because they were not only in volatile stuff, but they were leveraged and all that good stuff. So yeah, I agree though. It's like, I feel bad if somebody was like still in super volatile stuff at that age, but you should not be, basically.
That's right. Not a bear, because they can't lose. They can't lose.
I think that's part of the problem. You know, it's like, like Not a Bear says, you know, it's just, to an extent, it is kind of greed. But it's also kind of like, is it greed if, like Corval was just saying, you've just never lost? Like you just don't know. You don't know anything besides, I bought a house and it's up 500-600% from what I bought it for. I've just been putting money in a basic 401k. It's up 2,000%, and I've never had to like do anything or lose anything.
That's like one of like the horrifying realities, I think, that is like one of those emperor has no clothes moments that I think we might be approaching, which is like the typical not like advice of just put money in the market, just buy the index forever. I think people have been saying this for a while, but it seems like we're getting really close to it being no longer true. You know, the idea that, or just even maybe even buying a house, things are about to get a lot more volatile, I think. The crypto contagion has spread, baby.
It has.
These meme coins now.
Yeah, it's now risk on lottery. And yeah, like, that's another thing I said in my post. I just said, you know, sorry, Grandpa, you're just gonna have to get in the trenches and get good.
Yeah, he's gonna have to start trading. Hey, it'll be good for him. You know, it's better for him than sitting around watching Gunsmoke and MASH all day.
Yeah, you know, they're watching Fox News all day. Get a laptop, get TradingView account, get on, you know, Binance futures, and just get into it.
Of Hess stock.
Yeah, what's follows on say here?
From 160 to 127. Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, like I said, it's almost like a in some ways I'm you know, there are people that are like, you know, no mercy for these evil boomers, but in some ways I guess I am sympathetic to an extent where it's like I said, it's like have they ever had to lose?
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, you know, like even when I was a kid, they just said, don't even worry about this or that. Just put all your money in, you know, the S&P 500 and you're guaranteed, you know, whatever percent a year, and
put it into plastics. Just invest into plastics. It's going to be the next big thing. And they were right.
yeah. So yeah, I mean the volatility is real. I think it's going to continue. I don't have the article pulled up, but just to even add some more gasoline, Powell's term is up in 9 months, I think.
Oh yeah.
And they're already discussing, the way the language is right now, it's not even like, oh, Powell's going to be back. It's like, who's going to replace him? And that's going to be interesting too, because obviously that's kind of a position where the administration basically gets to choose who's going to do the job. And they're obviously going to put somebody in that's going to work with them on what they're trying to accomplish. So I think things just got a lot more interesting. It's almost like sometime around last year, a lot of people were saying, quarter 3, quarter 4, 2025 is when things are going to really pop off. Yeah. I'm starting to believe we might be crabbing for most of the rest of the year, and 2026 might be the year that, things really pop up. Yeah. Like Not a Bear says QE forever. Yeah. I mean, they put a guy in that says, we're going to print a bunch of money. We're going to, hand out a bunch of money. We're going to, give money to banks again. I wouldn't be shocked, that they put a guy in that's just like everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows or whatever. Just doing exactly what they want them to do, which is make the economy look really good.
Yeah. I was pulling up the FedWatch tool, the CME FedWatch tool, and it looks like most people are expecting the next meeting or in June for the rates to stay flat this coming one, and then most people are saying in June. And
June's been kind of like a target for a minute, but we do have another one. Yeah, it's in May, and who knows? Maybe they're putting the pressure on to get that cut early.
Yeah. If the posters online are to be to believe, that is a key part of Trump's plan. And then he's going to refinance the debt. Can you believe that?
It's like I've said, it's always just, like I said, it's hard to tell if the man's playing 4D chess or if he's just being crazy. It's just, you never know. So,
you used to hear these things from, in the previous White House, where they'd be like, he'll just do like whatever the last person like recommends him to do. And I don't know if that's true, but they're like reviving that narrative in that they said that the reason he rolled them back is because people were coming to him and being like, the markets are exploding. The bond market is collapsing. And he's like, well, all right, we'll roll back some of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it felt, like I said, with the tariffs. And then it's like a day or two later, they're like, oh, well, we're going to, knock most of them to like a flat 10% across the board. Then, a few days after that, they're like, okay, but we've increased the tariff on China, but except for the electronics, because we need those, never mind.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like a little bit like on the fly at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of freewheeling. But Fallout Zone brings up a great point. Midterms coming up, so if he wants to continue to run roughshod over Congress, he's probably going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, for the argument that there is like some kind of strategy going here, I mean, obviously, the sooner the rates get cut, the better.
You gotta do something other than just fucking sell Teslas, dude, at the White House.
Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, I figure while we're still going through all this, it's just going to be volatile.
Somebody's doing the raping.
I mean, someone's doing it, Trump. He's the bottom of it.
Yeah, I saw that there's already also a movement for, there was kind of a joke going on CT, which was that Trump literally posted on Truth. He didn't post it on X, but he posted on Truth. Now would be a good time to buy. Yeah. And then they made that announcement, which, that takes me back to the last term where, like I said, you would wake up and just immediately go to his X to see what he was saying about the market that morning. So, You have a whole movement.
He's Caffey, dude. I was thinking like when I saw that post though, I had flashbacks to when his son was saying it's a good time to buy ETH, and ETH dropped 50%. So I'm not like I wasn't too confident in following the Trump family's advice from social media.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
Did you
yeah,
see the video the day after where he had like two guys in his office, and he's like, "This guy made $1 billion off the market yesterday. This guy made $353 million."
yeah, he's literally like, check out the manipulation we pulled off. Yeah, so that's what's happening is there's already like this push for, it's like half of the Democrats or something are already pushing for an investigation into if there was market manipulation with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
then he says European roads are built for horse and cart.
yeah, big mad. We should have kept them.
Us Big Macs are mad as hell, boy.
Yeah, we should have kept the horses on the roads, not these cars. And we won't be dealing with this.
That's right. Insider and outsider trading. That's right, fellas. And we do it all here on the GMSONIC show.
But something more positive, I guess, right?
Bring it back to Sonic, baby.
Yeah, back to Sonic. We could go on and on. But I do want to say maybe this was. No, I'm not going to say that. I got to watch what I say here, kidding around. But anyway, what I'll say is that, Sonic finally toppled, over Polygon here. And there was a day while I was gone that, we like briefly passed Avalanche, which was a huge deal. I guess that has already subsided. But, where we're at right now, it's pretty tight, actually, right? We're now well over 1 billion. We were kind of like breaking 1 billion, going back under, going back over. It feels like we're pretty much set that, Sonic has 1 billion in TVL now. And this is kind of like a little, this is how we passed Avalanche and then fell back down. It's pretty tight right here. You're talking, 100 million, 200, whatever dollars. Which, in terms of once you get past 1 billion, that can come and go pretty quick. So we're right on the heels of Aptos. We'll need a little boost to get past Sui and Avalanche, but it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen.
It's inevitable, dude. The momentum's just going strong, dude. Has there been a single day where we haven't been, or a single week where we haven't had positive flow in? I don't think so.
No, I mean, think about where Sonic was when it launched. I think we were 37, 38, something like that.
The silent majority is waking up. And when we get to Vienna and we ignite that beacon, okay, just even more, dude, okay? Like, it's going to be crazy.
Corval's going to give the signal.
When I give the signal in Vienna, all my Central European bros are gonna freaking jump on chain. We're talking tens of thousands of euros. And I was just talking to Sam Hardcore, and we want Euro C on here. So that's the big push, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of like coincide with the TVL. I also saw this post from Michael Kong. Basically saying, that Sonic has now entered the top 10 for USDC issuance.
Mm-hmm.
So that native USDC is coming soon, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, looking at this list right here, I think you can basically, minus BNB and Sway, you can, all these here pretty much go right in the Coinbase with, not Hyperliquid, but 7 out of the top 10 or whatever, you can basically interact with Coinbase directly. So
I had no idea Hyperliquid was so high up without link.
Yeah. In terms of like, because obviously on Hyperliquid, you basically just have to put in USDC to play.
Yeah. So all of their volume pretty much.
Yeah, which is crazy. But I would say, passing Barra is pretty big. If you remember Barachain's kind of like pre-launch liquidity locking stuff, the numbers were just, staggering in terms of, what people were locking up before the chain launched. So I think that's a pretty big accomplishment to pass them. And yeah, it's pretty tight in this area. So we'll keep an eye on that too. I think that's big news. I mean, I know some people are tired of hearing about stable coins. I see that a good bit, like people are like, I'm tired of hearing about the stable coin yields, and I'm tired of hearing about, what I can do with my stable coins. I want to do stuff with S, but the game that Sonic's playing, bringing back DeFi, being the DeFi chain, this was from the start going to be very important, that what people could do with their majors and their stables, right? So I think that if you're looking at it as more of like this is also guaranteed to have some kind of trickle down effect, I think you can look at it positively that way. If you're,
yeah, let's talk a little bit about these explicit benefits from having all these stable coins, right? Like just liquidity, right? Like a very desirable asset, massive liquidity on chain. That's obviously good. People want a place to store profits from when they're trading, right? They want to trade in and out of something. They don't like to trade against heavily correlated assets. A little risky, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, then also you're saying if you're doing like stablecoin farming and stuff, the frequency of this, I mean, all this money being moved that fast, more fees for the chain. There's no reason not to want stablecoins, dude. They're the best possible thing you could have.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's tons of different ways that people handle their stable coins. Like you said, whether it's that they just put their profits into it or whatever, but with that liquidity comes yields. And, Sonic right now, I mean, we've said this before. I mean, I don't know if there's another chain out there that has better opportunities for stable yields. And I think that's going to keep improving. So, this is all, to me, it's kind of just like part of the deal, I saw a post the other day about Solana where the guy was just kind of losing his mind about how he was like, you guys like have to put DeFi on this chain, like enough of this shit, like, we're gonna lose, it was a Solana maxi. So he's like, we're losing mind share, we're gonna keep losing mind share. If we have another bull run, people want safer things to make money off their holdings. So I think it's a big problem there. That it's true. There's just not, it's like if you're actually just going there for yields and stuff, there's just not a lot going on there. And I think long run that could hurt them. So yeah, I mean, I think this is just part of the deal. We need lots of stable liquidity and we need good yields.
And I think we're getting it. We're proving that we are landing it. I am still thinking about what we talked about last time with Sam. I keep thinking about those euros, though. What do you think, Dracula? Do you think the euros? Because the more I think about it, the more I think the reason there's probably not a lot of euros on chain, like the currencies, because of the restrictions, right? It's like hard to get it out of there.
Yeah, it is.
That they live in, the Europeans.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's harder in some ways to off ramp, but I think that it's a good point that it's in a way it's kind of an untapped market.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit about like Andre's always really been into Forex, right? It's like his thing. If we might already have Forex options on like the blockchain, but I think if a big Forex market could be created, I think it could be a huge use case, dude. I think a lot of people would really go bonkers for that. And
Fallout Zone makes a good point here that hey, crypto is denominated in US dollars. This is true, but I would be interested, I would be interested to see. I don't think that's going to change, obviously, with like the early movement of like Tether and stuff like that. I don't think we're ever going to see like a true move away from that. But especially if you look at the volatility right now, I mean, it could open up some interesting, there might be times where it's like, oh, it would actually be better to, be in the euro or be in whatever. So I think we do see more of that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty large, especially for like RWAs and stuff. A lot of RWA people I talk to that are just really into it or working on projects, I'm always hearing the euro thrown around because there's a lot of money that people would be interested in saying, hey, you know, even if it's 1 or 2% of my portfolio or whatever, I would be interested in like on ramping that to play around.
We're probably gonna. I mean, I would think that the interest or the demand for this would increase a lot more as we continue to see dollar instability abroad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, there's definitely been way smarter people than me who have looked into this, like definitely forked on behalf of like Tether and Circle, but like why there aren't more foreign currencies like onboarded like that. I'm sure for some it's like legally they literally can. Like I doubt the Chinese would let them do that. But it'd be interesting to look at some more. Next stage of DeFi coming to, you know,
I think it's, you know, it's
you're
worth
taking
taking a look at.
nerd. You're an econ nerd. Take a look into it. I think it'll pay off.
Yeah. Speaking of econ nerds, something you wouldn't want to put your euros into.
Oh no.
The mantra crash here.
Oh my God, dude.
In fact, this is kind of an unfortunate post.
Is this a network? This is a network, like an L1 alt chain, L2.
Yeah, you know, Mantra, if I have it right, if I remember right, it is kind of like an L1, but their big thing was they were selling the project as like a large RWA kind of deal, where that was kind of like the whole point was, you know, they were like, we got all these investors, we, you know, have all these like RWA projects, and yeah, I mean, that was the whole point of the chain, was that basically it was like an L1 dedicated to like RWA stuff. And you hate to see it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff unfolding about it, but basically a small group of people turned out to have over 90% of the supply. And what the team was putting out there about liquidations is like partially true, I guess. There was a large group of people, and a few in particular, that were taking really large loans against like their tokens. And what was coming out was that in the days leading up to the liquidations, where like some of these guys were reaching out trying to get loans to cover their positions. So it's a little complicated, you know. It's not quite like, oh, the team just sold, you know, dev is selling. It was that, yeah, it was bad. There was like this kind of group of insiders that had almost all of the supply, but also irresponsible to be, you know, taking out loans and stuff against like a super volatile asset.
Yeah, so they were just taking out. They had a massive share of the supply, and they were just taking out big loans on it. Kind of like the Kirk guy, but like more supply.
Yeah, like for instance, like Zach XBT, he kind of like has, you know, he's digging into it, of course, and he points out that there's two people in particular that had like really, really big loans. So that basically what happened was, you know, it was like a cascade. You had a couple people, 2 or 3 people with really big positions get liquidated. After that, this insider group had a ton of the tokens. So then they're saying, oh shit, start selling. So, you know, it was just kind of like a domino effect.
Fallout Zone is saying they also screwed over their community with an airdrop as well. It was the perfect plan.
Yeah, I kind of heard some stuff about that. You know, like honestly, it's one of those projects where I actually didn't know that it was like $1 billion project. It's crazy.
I've never heard of this thing before.
I'd heard of, you know, the idea of the RWA chain and all, you know, Mantra, but it just, yeah, it wasn't something like really on my radar. But Zach points out in particular, for those that were around last run, some of these people were like involved with Reef, which Reef had a very
No way.
Reef had like a very similar kind of, deal where they had some insiders kind of pump and dumping the token. It was so bad that Binance delisted them. Then they got delisted. So good old Alameda came in, scooped up the whole thing for peanuts, turned it into one of those good old high valuation, low float deals. And then they did their thing with it. So
their thing, this team's claim to fame is that they have rugged twice and had an Alameda layup.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, these are more like ties to some of the big holders. Yeah. Now, also, yeah, Benny says it must be pretty bad if Binance delists you for, moving shady. Yeah,
it's shady, bro. Like, there's like roving bands of just straight criminals out here, dude.
Yeah.
Criminals
Well,
with money.
Yeah, that's a whole other layer that will slowly come to light because that's also what's happening right now is you have insiders at Binance that saw what was happening. So they may or may not have also opened some really large shorts knowing what was coming. So, yeah, just kind of a bad crime maxis. Yeah, I mean, just all around, probably about 50 people all committing crimes together to totally, rug holders. So it's unfortunate. And
yeah, it seems like the best thing that could happen for your crypto trading career is to get a job at Binance or Coinbase.
yeah. And I mean, I hated I saw a lot of posts like this, where like there was a guy, this one was one of the worst ones. Cause yeah, I mean, you can see here, he's showing that he's down $15 million. There's several posts like that, where it's like maybe not like 15 million was probably the worst, but there were posts out there like, I lost 3-4 million, whatever. So I don't know what the advice. I think the advice is like, you should never have too much of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's hard.
What could you have done? What kind of research could you have done for this?
I mean, these guys, kind of like also talking about Alameda. I mean, they pulled it had all the green lights, they had a bunch of VCs invested. They had a bunch of companies and, like
how much of a bath the VCs took, if any.
Oh yeah. Some of these guys definitely. And, the stuff with VCs goes both ways. Sometimes it can be like a very like parasitic bad relationship for a project. But at the end of the day, when VCs get wrecked, they're probably exiting the system for good. So that can have positive and negative effects.
Yeah. I kind of just meant more of like, if they give the VCs the heads up beforehand to get out, which would have been like the likelier thing if they're trying to preserve that kind of relationship.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like what's still getting untangled is how much of this like is attributed to the actual team. The team is claiming they had no hand in it, of course. And that, it was basically some people from this group that caused the whole thing. But I'm sure this will continue to get tracked and untangled and we'll find out more.
Exciting drama unfolding on chain. Not happening to Sonic. Amen, brother.
Yes, thankful.
Something important to keep your eyes on out there.
Yep, that's right. And yeah, I mean, like I said, this one's hard. I mean, because it's like everything on paper looks good, right? Had big support, big names, real world companies working with stuff. So
yeah,
I guess I saw another post recently that was interesting where it was saying that like really when you look at stuff like Mantra, it's like token distribution is probably kind of the future in terms of where you see tokenomics and what makes sense. Because the one thing that people could have done was people would have probably been able to see that, oh, the distribution on this thing is like terrible.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more attention put on that. There used to be like no attention on it. So yeah, feel bad. Hopefully no one here got wrecked.
It seems like that's something that there should be like a standard that kind of evolves, because there are a lot of ways to obscure that as well, right? Like, remember like the Trump token, like it's like 50 tranches or something. It's like a bunch of different addresses. And I'm sure it's like 5 guys. It's just like 30 addresses or something, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, you know how it goes around here. Not the first, definitely not the last, but
all tokens will be launched from launch pads going forward.
Yeah. But in a project that has not rugged and will not rug because we hold them so dear.
Oh yeah, because we have names and addresses.
Yeah.
We got tax returns from these guys.
Yeah, we got them doxxed. So there was an interesting thing you pulled up while we were talking before the show from Suvlaki, who used to be on the BEETS team. I'm not sure what his relationship is now. But talking about kind of like this new balancer tech. Oh,
and he's right here.
He's right here.
We're going to explain your work to you, Suvlaki.
No, I'm glad you're here because I'll probably not explain it correctly. But no, just an interesting post about these stable surge pools. The idea being that like it's kind of like providing, it's providing liquidity, but it has like way better protection against IL. And this isn't anything that's live yet, but they're basically testing it out where they've been testing it with like certain amounts of volume. I'm really excited to play around with this because when I like read up on it a little more, I guess the idea is that you could have liquidity in a pool, and as you know, you're getting that IL and things are moving apart, the fees and everything kind of adjust dynamically to, get things back to that like equilibrium. And it also means that, a lot of those fees also get passed on to the people in the pool. So it's kind of like it's pretty unique. It's kind of like if you had like a balancer pool, but also like kind of like some concentrated liquidity stuff added. So sounds really interesting though.
Balancer pool with some concentrated liquidity. Yeah, I mean these numbers are crazy. Like the capital efficiency of the solidly type pool, whatever. The concentrated liquidity pool. Because what is the ratio here? 15-1. So $10,000 did how much volume? 150,000. 15-1. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That means if you don't get diluted, you can make an insane amount of money, dude, on a micro pool.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see this thing go live, but just testing right now, apparently. Sounds like we'll get there.
Beats over here doing Manhattan Project type stuff behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna make it all rich, Drek.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Let me get in the testing chamber, dude.
Yeah, let us in there. We'll put some capital in there.
Beats always doing some big brain stuff. That's true. Where do they get these geniuses from?
I don't know. None of those guys have ever come on the show. I've tried a couple times, but they don't want anything to do with us. So, we're gonna have to work that out.
We're not high class enough,
Yeah, they're keeping their euros.
Wait,
Chicken jockey.
You know that? Have you heard that before?
Oh man, I'm so glad you got the soundboard.
That's why they won't come on the show. But yeah, no, we got anything else, Dracula? We got anything else on the docket today?
That's really about it. Just good to be back. Wanted to catch up a little bit, cover what was kind of going on in the broader markets. But I'm back now. I'm not going anywhere for a while.
We're glad to have you back, Drek. And we want to know, are you going to go to Vienna?
I'm still thinking about it. Sounds like you're going now.
Oh yeah, I'm going, and I am taking 2 people with me. Oh, let me just stretch it out here. Yeah, 2 people here. We got 2 tickets from Louise, and while you were gone, Drac, I just decided I'm just going to take our entire marketing budget. I'm just going to blow it on getting these 2 goobers out here. So I'll do the announcement on Friday's show.
All right.
So go ahead and respond to this stream, whether it be on YouTube or on X, and tag your favorite content creator and your favorite project. Doesn't need to be on Sonic. Just tag your favorite content creator and your favorite project, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. Also, tell me your location. That might swing things in your favor too. Who knows?
Yeah, like we're hoping to like get your flight over from like Germany or something. You know what I mean?
From Berlin and Amsterdam.
Yeah, like if you're in Australia or something, like you're gonna get just kicked. Like it's not gonna happen. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'll put on the Amex. I'll get a lot of points. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great idea. We were kind of kicking that around like a week or 2 ago. We were like, we need to do some like marketing stuff. We have a little marketing budget, so I think it's a good idea. So you got till Friday, so get on it, man.
Yeah, get on it. And heck, if you're even more creative about it, maybe it'll sway things in your favor. So go ahead and just remember though, you got to tag your favorite content creator and your favorite project. And don't try to sweet talk me by making it be me, okay? Or Dracula. There's nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I would do that. But yeah, I'm still thinking it over. I've been traveling a lot, and as you know, because we're not that far apart, it's a long ass trip. So I'm trying to work out the logistics. But if I'm not there, Corval's definitely going to be there. That's kind of like part of the thing. If he flies you out, you have to go with him.
Yeah, you gotta be my wingman.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's all we got for today. We'll be back Friday, and as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you later this week.
Thank you all. Catch you later, and Xiao Hong Shu. Xiao Hong.